Hi, everybody, and welcome. It's me, Mr. Moohead. It's Friday, and that means it's time for the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. You know, with daylight savings time coming up, I'm getting very confused, okay? The only way that I remember it is spring forward, fall back. That's the only way I remember this shit. So your clocks go forward, and what is it, Sunday?
Sunday morning.
All right. Yep. So before you go to bed on Saturday, you're going to lose an hour of sleep. Okay. I know. It's the price to have daylight, but it makes our neighborhood safer from people like, well, there's Roxanne on the panel today.
Good Lord.
And the good Lord is also on the panel today.
I tell you what, I'll say this. I've been robbed 4 times in my life. It was never from a black guy. It was always a crazy ass white dude who was on drugs.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just now seen a picture of him too.
Yeah.
And he was stalking us too. So imagine that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
I've gone through a lot in my life.
Yeah. And you know something? That is one of the greatest misconceptions of crime in general. It's Republicans that commit crimes, not Democrats. Okay.
Okay, you want to argue that? I'll gladly argue with you on that one.
Rick is on our panel today. Derek, of course, and Stephen Rose.
Hello.
It's great to have you guys along, and Brian will be here. I think Brian's mad at me because I basically challenged his political beliefs, but hey, he and I are friends, and the fact of the matter is, well, we all agree to disagree. That's what.
Yeah, that's the whole beauty of politics.
There is no beauty in politics.
No.
What we can say is that the
the
Cleveland Browns have been active today in so many different ways. There's addition by subtraction. I know you're heartbroken that Brian Body Calhoun is gone, but you know that's good news for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They can replace Deshaun Gibson with Brian Body Calhoun and get the same player. No, I mean it's a real easy plug in there to Jacksonville. They're not about winning there anyway. Who else did we bounce? Who was the other guy we bounced?
Zeitler.
No, well, we traded him, but
on his birthday too.
Yeah, it seems like who didn't we tender? There was another guy we didn't tender an offer to. I forget who it is now, but it must not be that important. But the big news, of course, is that Zeitler is gone, and that Olivier Vernon is here. And so what I want to do to start out the program, which is a little bit different than what I usually do, is I'm going to ask our panelists what they think about this trade, and we will start. Why don't we start with Brian? Are you with us?
Yeah, if you guys can hear me.
Yes. Go ahead. What do you think of the trade?
I actually like it. You get rid of a position that you're kind of loaded at with Corbett hanging in ambiguity, and you also trade a 5th round pick for a 4th round pick. So you actually get a player that can actually possibly start this year or be a consistent backup.
Yep. All right. So you like it. Derek Frisbee, I take it you've got a chubby about this.
Well, I'm going to shut up, Brian. From a Giants standpoint, they were very desperate for filling a position on the line, you know, especially if they're going to bring in a quarterback possibly in the draft or even with Eli. They need some kind of protection. But anyway, so for the Browns, like Brian said, yes, the 4th for the 5th, that's big. And with bringing in Vernon, that takes pressure off of Miles.
Did you call him Vermin?
That takes pressure off of Miles Garrett.
Racist. Okay? That's racist.
Coming from you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so it takes pressure off Garrett, and it allows that, you know, with the double teams and all that. He's also going to have a chip on his shoulder, I think, coming into Cleveland. And I think Corbett's going to have a chip on his shoulder because a lot of people are questioning, is he ready? So I think he's going to have to come out and prove it.
All right, Rick, you like it or you don't like it?
I like it. I'm sure Zeitler wasn't expecting this kind of a birthday present. Today's his birthday, so it's like, happy birthday, get the hell out of Cleveland.
Yeah.
But I think Vernon is going to be a positive. This makes it very interesting now that we've got a potential hole filled in at the defensive line. What our move will be now with our first round pick, if we still stick with defense, only in another position, or do we now try to fill the hole that Zeitler left and try to look for something on the offensive line? So still plenty of options for John Dorsey to pursue.
Steven,
receiver.
You like this trade?
I like it. I think Vernon's a good edge rusher, and I think that's something that the Browns need. And I think he was number 8 last year in terms of, as in one of the best edge rushers in the season. And also, I know he only played 10 or 11 games last year, and he had 7 or 8 sacks. So it's not too bad. Yeah. So I like that. I like that move overall. And also getting that 4th round pick for the 5th round is also pretty good. So overall, I like it.
All right. Here's what I think. If I were to compare the two men in the trade, Zeitler had a better year last year than Vernon did. All right. That's a fact. He was rated the number 1 pass blocking tackle in the league. Okay. Yeah. That's fact. He's 29 years of age. He doesn't miss time. He's an Iron Man. He did a great job for both the Bengals and the Browns. And the right side of the line, he did a good job opening up holes in the running game as well. Vernon, on the other hand, was a big $84 million acquisition or contract, offer that many people in New York feel didn't pan out completely well. That he started out early in his career having his biggest year in 2013, but he hasn't hit double-digit sacks since then. There are questions about this in some circles. With that said, there was also a major shift and change in the defensive system in New York during his time there. He started out being presented as a hands-on-the-ground defensive end. He wound up being an outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme instead of the 4-3 scheme that was being played previously. Now, the thing is, he's got 4.8 speed. He's not an outside linebacker. He's a defensive end. He's an edge rusher. We know that. But the defense in New York didn't exactly tear the world to pieces, and you wonder how much being stuck in a situation where Eli Manning is deteriorating and the team has gone from being a winning team to a losing team affected this man's play, and whether coming to a team like Cleveland will re-energize him. Yes, Stephen.
I just want to add that if under Steve Wilkes' system, I think that if you have Myles Garrett in combination with Mr. Oliver Vernon, that's good. I think it'll work in that system for that defense. It'll take less pressure off of Myles Garrett to always have to be the man that has to get to the quarterback. Now you're going to have a combination of him and Vernon. So I know,
but could possibly go out and find somebody else.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying though about the whole Eli Manning effect, aka the Hugh Jackson. We got to get rid of all the 0-16 guys. I get that. You're wondering what type of talent he's going to bring here, considering he's 28 years of age. But I think with the addition of the 4th round pick, I'm going to close it out here. I think it's overall going to be a win-win situation for both teams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's a bad trade, and I don't think that the Giants made a desperation deal. There were people who said that they were going to release Vernon, and I think they did pretty well. Here's the problem for the Giants.
Yeah.
You got rid of your best edge rusher, all right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you picked up an offensive lineman.
Right.
You don't have a quarterback.
Nope.
Now the question is this: what way do you go in the draft now? If you're looking at Haskins at 6 and you're the Giants, now you begin to wonder, what about an edge rusher? What are you going to do with a defense that was already not doing well, and you just gave away your best edge rusher? Everybody knows that the positions that go highest in the draft are quarterbacks and edge rushers. This is just the way it works. So the Giants have in essence created a vacuum, a hole for themselves in the pass rush defensive end position. in order to gain a very good, steady, strong offensive lineman. The Browns, on the other hand, might feel that Austin Corbett is fully capable of taking over. But, you know, we've seen this scenario play out in Major League Baseball countless times where, you know, we have a guy in the minor leagues who's getting better and better and better. And we're sitting there saying, when is Frankie Lindor going to be brought up? When is he going to be brought up? And instead we continue living with whoever, and I don't even remember who in the hell was playing shortstop at the time for the Cleveland Indians, but it was like racking our brains trying to figure out, and it had to do, of course, with, you know, the rights to the player, how long they have the rights to the player. You know, you don't want to bring the guy up too soon or else you lose certain years of player rights. And that's really in Major League Baseball what it's all about. But a lot of times guys will sit back, wait for their opportunity, and then become really fine players. Maybe John Dorsey feels that Corbett showed more in practice than what we thought, but that they realized that that instead of moving him around from center to guard to tackle, that he's not a left tackle. Maybe they've come to the conclusion that he's a right tackle, and that is where they want him to play. He played tackle in college. He was a left tackle. Oh, was he a guard?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah. But yeah, at Nevada, that's the position. He was a tackle in Nevada. And he was a left tackle in Nevada.
No, he was a left guard. He's
a guard.
In college?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was
because
that's why they had to move Batonio out to tackle so that he could play his natural position during the preseason.
I gotcha. Yeah. I mean, I was reading stuff that was saying that he was playing tackle in college, but there was a lot of confusion because of his arm length and his span as to what and people are saying he's much more suited for center/guard in the NFL.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Real quick. I know it's a little bit past, but can you see a situation like you were talking about with the edge rushing? Can you see a situation where the Giants pass on Haskins, take an edge rusher, and then hope to God for next year that they go out and they can get Tua Tagovailoa because he's available next year in the draft?
Well, if they lose enough, I suppose anything's possible. And with the kumquat Pat Shurmur as your coach, anything is humanly possible.
Well, don't forget that John Gruden is out on the left coast. There is a chance that they could make a deal for Derek Carr.
Ooh.
Yeah, you know, you do bring up a good point. I mean, the fact of the matter is that the fan base, and I don't think the front office could possibly pass a quarterback in free agency or in the draft, knowing what happened last year. There's just no way. There was nothing
to tanking again.
Well, no, I don't think at this point you can do that. Now, personally, I don't think Haskins is worth the 6th overall. I don't believe that. But the pass rushers involved, the edge rushers, the best one's going to be gone by 6 anyway. Bosa's going to be gone. So I don't know. It's an interesting situation for a team like the Giants. They need a quarterback. And you bring up a good point, Brian. That might be a source because the word is that the string is running out on Derek Carr out in Oakland. And it wouldn't surprise me with Gruden, pimping himself as this quarterback guru, that he's going to go in a certain direction there. What I wanted to point out about the Browns and the situation that this opens up is you have a defensive end now on each side of the line to put pressure on the quarterback. Now, the other thing is we know that JPP went bye in New York. Okay. So, a lot of Vernon's help went bye-bye.
Yeah.
So when you're in a situation where, there are people who are claiming that he was only seeing single teams this past year and was not winning his battles consistently. That's the negative that I have read from just 1 or 2 sources. Other than that, people are saying that he's a talented guy.
And he's also had injury risk, though. I mean,
Yeah.
he had that one injury.
Well, he the ankle last year kept him out for 5 weeks.
PFF seems to be pretty high on him, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that the rating that he has. I mean, I think he showed up with like an 86.4 rating, overall rating at his position. It's not that he played the position badly. It's that there weren't the prolific plays for loss and sacks that the Giants wanted from him. But then again, the system there that was implemented might have had something to do with that too. But what this does for the Browns, and the Browns will be playing a 4-3, but with a lot of disguise. So you're going to see all kinds of different fronts. You know, you're going to see elements of the 46. You're going to see all kinds of different things morphing into different looks. But knowing that you have a pass rusher on either side is going to free up Myles Garrett to some degree, and it's going to free up Vernon on the other side to some degree. It's going to also allow Ogunjobi to be able to match up one-on-one or sometimes find creases to go through.
And we have Avery, too. So, and he can help with that pass rush as well.
Well, but here's the thing. The Browns draft might be altered considerably with this move because – I'm looking, I was saying, God, I'll take Devin White and I'll do what I need to do to get Devin White. Now we're going to have 3 linebackers. We've got Christian Kirksey, who's, one outside linebacker. We've got Schobert, who is our Mike linebacker. But then Jamie Collins was dismissed. And you've got Avery, who might be a situational guy. I'm not even sure that Avery is going to be an every down player. We don't know that at this point. So what do you do if you got 3 linebackers and you like to blitz, like Steve Wilkes likes to blitz? And, part of me, and I was looking up Christian Kirksey's deal, 2017, he signed a $38 million extension, all right? So he's going to be a UFA come 2022. So he's locked in for a while. And the fact that he was hurt as bad as he was last year and he didn't make that much of an impact. Do I think Christian Kirksey is as good as Devin White's going to be? No, I think Devin White's going to be a better and more prolific linebacker than Christian Kirksey. But why wouldn't he be? I think Kirksey was like the 71st pick overall, a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
So
Devin
we wouldn't.
White's a stud.
He did. Yeah, right. He didn't have the pedigree that Devin White has. So
if it wasn't for the extension, do you think they would go ahead and take Mr. White? Devin White, or
well, you know something? I'm thinking out loud, looking at, okay, let's take a look at the whole balance of this. By letting Brian Body Calhoun go and not offering the tender to him, we're going to need a defensive back. There's no question defensive back is going to, it's going to be a position we need to fill. But I'm also looking at the wide receiver position now because there's word out of Cleveland that they are pursuing the San Diego Chargers wide receiver, Terrell Williams. Now Terrell Williams is 6'4" and 205 pounds. He is not been a prolific receiver in his years. His best year was 2016 when Keenan Allen had a torn ACL. He caught 69 passes for over 1,000 yards. But then he was dropped back into the 40 catch range in the next 2 seasons because Keenan Allen came back. But again, scheme is everything. And if a guy becomes, and the thing about Phillip Rivers is that nobody's going to tell Phillip Rivers how to do his job. He's just a big swinging dick. And if his favorite target is Keenan Allen, it's Keenan Allen. This would not be the first wide receiver who would be happy to get the fuck away from Phillip Rivers. Let me put it to you this way. He was a Division II receiver, all right, out of Western Oregon in 2015. The guy runs a legitimate 4.42 coming out of college. The guy has size and he has speed. And again, the Browns are moving forward with Rashard Higgins as well. a lot of people feel that the posturing by the Browns in offering him basically the tender is to convince him to sign a longer-term contract, that Higgins is in the future plans of this team. If they're going after Terrell Williams as well, then you begin to wonder, well, wait a minute here. Is that the 6'4", 200-plus pound speedster that we're looking for? And are we going to draft a wide receiver at all high in this draft? And if not, what does that mean? I
don't feel comfortable with him being a number 1 or number 2 receiver either.
Well, but you know something? One thing I know about John Dorsey is that John Dorsey believes you can get value at the wide receiver position without wasting top picks. His record on this is clear over the course of years of doing this job. I mean, could you imagine, seriously, folks, could you imagine a situation where you had a linebacking core that would give you a guy like Devin White who runs a 4.4 40 as your inside linebacker? If you move him outside to the other side, you have Schobert as your Mike, and you have Kirksey as your outside linebacker. Can you imagine the toolbox that Steve Wilkes will have to work with in his blitz schemes?
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys who are athletic, who can run, man. It's a whole new game. Greg Williams, who loved to blitz, didn't have this kind of thing. So, I'm looking at this and saying, in one fell swoop here, if we manage to score this edge rusher from the Giants, Vernon, and that makes Myles Garrett a better football player and more productive from his side, and you add on top of that a guy like Devin White, who's a monster, who runs 4.4, who could get into the backfield and rip somebody's head off. You could step up your defense really with only using that one first pick, and then that second round pick, you're open to a lot of other possibilities. And that's where your cornerback would likely be situated. Or if you like somebody, you might even trade back up into the end of the first round to get a cornerback who's still on the board. We know that the cornerbacks have been projected at 24 and below in this draft. DeAndre Baker was projected in the 20s as the highest cornerback in this draft, except for maybe Greedy Williams. Now, Greedy, we've been through this already on the show. There are people who would suggest that this guy is a legitimate top 15 pick. There are other people who say he's a bottom of the first round guy. But a lot of these cornerbacks are going to fall toward the bottom of the first round. And the Browns
I think one of those 3 corners will go in the first round for sure, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think so too. But if there's a couple of them and there's somebody on the board that Dorsey likes, I could see him trading up to get a cornerback. So what happens in all of this? Well, we lose an offensive lineman, which isn't the best news in the world when he was the number 1 pass blocking guy in the league. That's not going to make Baker real happy. If the best guy you come up with as far as high in the draft is Terrell Williams through free agency, that may not be exactly the coup of the century. But at the same time, the philosophy in Cleveland has to change, because what I'm watching the Browns games over is that the more that Baker Mayfield played, the more consistent he was scoring touchdowns instead of field goals, the effectiveness in the red zone. The thing that hurt the Browns more than anything else was that they didn't put the ball in Baker's hands often enough. They didn't stop oppositions often enough. They gave up way too much clock, way too much ground game, way too many first downs. And whenever they would turn the ball over to Baker, good things would happen. Well, maybe, just maybe, somebody's taking a look at those metrics instead of how high people jump And maybe they're saying, if we get people off the field by getting our blitz schemes down with better athletes and our defense, we have a real good coverage cornerback to add to Denzel Ward. We've got a linebacker who's godlike on the one outside position. We keep Schobert, who is really a Pro Bowl caliber. Mike, he didn't make it as an outside linebacker, but as a middle linebacker, he's good. And then you have Kirksey coming back from injury, who's solid. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's solid. But you've added Vernon as the pass rusher. I'm saying, boy, you've made some immediate improvements on the defensive side of the ball to get the ball back in Baker's hands. Now, if you're Dorsey, you're going to be looking for a wide receiver then, third round and below or UDFAs. That's what you're going to be doing. And you're going to be looking for another Antonio Callaway dropper, a guy whose stock has fallen due to disciplinary things. He's going to look for his next Tyreek Hill is what it amounts to. I could see it happening. And honestly, the Browns defense is what, when you sat and watched the playoffs this year and you said, God, these quarterbacks really aren't better than Baker Mayfield. And in a lot of cases, like with the Eagles, not nearly as good. It's like, but their defenses got teams off the field and gave their offenses opportunities and better field position. And, we would stop people on the 45-yard line of our side of the field and end up having to fair catch punts at the 7-yard line. I see this happening over and over again with the Browns, or trying to return something and getting hit with holding calls and being thrown back inside the 10. And Baker Mayfield's effectiveness as a rookie quarterback was dampened by the starting field position. I would really like to see the defensive adjustments and improvements made. And I have enough faith in this quarterback because I'm sitting here watching these games again. And he's hitting people in stride. When you look at it a second time, it's like the release is clean, the footwork is pristine, his balance is great, his eyesight, his vision is great. He's throwing the ball all over the field to a wide number of wide receivers, so you can't, at the time.
And he's only getting better.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better.
And when he started out, he had no chemistry with Jarvis Landry, who was his best receiver. So, and he was still putting up points and touchdowns on the scoreboard. So, I don't know much about Terrell Williams. I really couldn't tell you. But Terrell Williams is Brashad Perryman's replacement. Perryman is scoffing at the Browns. He's going to move forward and take offers, which is all well and good because the Browns now are moving forward in free agency. And I still think the Browns will draft a wide receiver, but it's not going to be in the first 2 rounds. This is the feeling I'm getting. So.
I see 2 or 3. I really do think there's a possibility of taking one in the second.
Oh, I wanted to point something out.
All right.
And this is the halfway mark of the show. And I don't dwell on these things. But, the fact that Robert Kraft's arrest is still fresh news.
Yeah.
It highlights an issue of, really the sex worker, the human crimes that are being committed in this country with this rash of these spas, quote unquote, that are really bordellos in not so great disguise. I have explained on this program that there is an Asian, especially Korean cartel that owns these places. And it really makes sense to me when I find out that the former owner of that very spa in Florida watched the Super Bowl with President Donald Trump. And this is what's troubling to me, is that the President of the United States, who is so fucking concerned about people coming across the border that he wants this fucking wall put up, and he's partying with a person who owned multiple whorehouses that are illegally run with illegals
Preach.
performing sexual acts on people who are sex slaves. And that's who he's photographed with.
And Mr. Moohead, what do you think? When I went to Mexico for 8 months, about 5-6 years ago, and I don't mean to be mean, but most of the sex tourists are from America. I'm not trying to be mean.
No, I mean, obviously, I've said 1,000,001 times, when it comes to prostitution, there would be no prostitution if there wasn't a market for it, okay? I mean, plain and simple, for all of our Christian ethics and values, this is part of America, It's as American as apple pie and syphilis, The bottom line is Li Yang, who goes by the fake name of Cindy, no longer owns the Orchids of Asia Day Spa where Kraft was, he paid to have oral sex. But her family still owns several of these establishments. There she is on February 3rd at a Super Bowl watch party at his West Palm Beach Golf Club. And why? Because she's a contributor to his campaign. The thing that kills me is, we got to change all of these registration laws because of the corrupt Democrats. And you know something? There are corrupt Democrats. There are corrupt Democrats left and right. But the bottom line is this. It's all about who gives these whores money.
Yep.
And who you take money from. The movie Wall Street, if you remember the two Sheens in the movie, Charlie and his father tells him in the movie, I don't go to bed with no whore and I don't wake up with no whore. That's how I live with myself.
Well,
the president of the United States is a whore. He's photographed with whores. He is pro-sex slave. He's pro-illegals when they provide services that he himself used to indulge in.
Can I just ask you a simple question?
Sure.
Just simple question.
Yep.
Obviously this is an issue and it needs to be addressed. This isn't political. This is just simple common sense things.
Correct.
This stuff can't happen in this country.
It's law and
This
order.
is a part of
It's
fixing things.
Yeah.
But my question here is if I'm not saying all, but if there is things happening, and I mean you can deny it all you want, but the fact is there is drugs and there is rape and there is murder, and I'm not saying that's all. I'm not. Don't take this is not racist. This is just fact. There is an issue. Okay. And those issues have to be solved. I mean, whether if it is the wall or not, okay, that's to be argued, and that's why it's argued so much. I'm just saying there is an issue, and we have to address it because there's people who's denying it, calling it racist. It's not racist. It's a fact. What's issues.
Not racist? I don't
on.
understand. What's not racist?
No, this is what I'm saying. People are called racist because some people want a wall. That's a fact. The bottom line is if there's a wall up, that is meant to restrict these things from happening in some sort. Now, obviously, it's not going to get rid of all. I understand what you're going to say.
No, that's not what I'm going to say. You're putting words in my mouth. The truth of the matter is, if you really feel strongly enough about people coming in from Mexico into our country,
illegals, not Mexicans, just illegals.
Right. Illegals. If you feel that strongly about it, more power to you. It is a political position, and I'm not going to deny that there is an active and has been for decades. This is not a new problem, even though this president has made it appear that this has become this burgeoning issue. This has been an issue for a long time. And he knows damn well because he was hiring these people in his hotels decades ago. Okay? So he knows about this. All of us knew about it. We all knew about momentum. This. Yeah, we all knew about this. But I just want to finish this thought. If you are so concerned about that, how at the same time, this man that you revere, who is not only accepting the fact that these establishments that are sex parlors that are enslaving people exist, but that he's accepting campaign money from them, all right, and using the fact that she is Asian to attract that part of the voting population.
After Stephen's done, I got something to say.
According to the Miami Herald, this woman became active in the political scene around Trump's rise to power and has been a prolific donor. All right. Her social media pages have been filled with images alongside members of the president's inner circle, as well as several visits to his Mar-a-Lago club in Palm Beach. This is what you call parading an Asian around, but not vetting them. This is what idiots do. This is what a person who's trying to have millions and billions of dollars put into a wall is willing to accept money. And how much money has she contributed? $42,000 to Trump victory and more than $16,000 to the president's campaign. Hey, to have your token Asian to tote around town with you and to have photo ops with, it must be worth it to the president of the United States. But by how
much did the Clinton Foundation accept from other countries?
We're not talking about the Clinton Foundation. We're talking about the circles that people run in. And
that's my point. Just can I have like 10 seconds? I just want 10 seconds.
No, because no. In this instance, no. Because and the reason no is because Bill Clinton and his wife are basically they've been embalmed. I mean,
but I'm saying we need to accept the fact that it happens on both sides. You can't just point to one side. It's an overall issue.
This is a news issue.
There's an issue with everything.
This is a
slavery, everything. It's definitely an issue, and it's more than one side. It's not. It's both.
In this case, it is one specific side. It is the person who shut down our government because of funding for a wall, taking money from people who enslave people and bring illegals into the country to be sex slaves. It is wrong for Mexicans who are illegals to come over the border and we villainize them, but it's okay for Li Yang to be a sex slave owner and to bring illegals into this country to promote sex.
Can I add something? A lot of, and these are also the same Americans that are going overseas having sex with underage children, and they never mention that.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm just pointing, and I want to get back to sports, but the bottom line to me is people ask me why I'm offended by this president. And the reason is there's no consistency. It's all about what is best for him. It is not what's best for our country. This is not making America great again. You know, this is just the horrible truth of the matter is if the Democrats were in control of the White House, there would be different people paying them off. I'm not even denying that. What I'm saying is if you really want to do a favor to this country, if you know, let's take the gun owners. All right. People say, Mr. Muhaid, you hate guns. And it's like, you know, it's not that I hate guns. I hate people who don't know how to use guns, who own them. All right.
Stupid people.
Yeah, yeah. There was a new story.
Go in and shoot up schools. That's the problem. It's not everybody.
I'll tell you what the problem is. There was a story, a guy walking around because he wanted a concealed weapon and he tucked it in his pants and he shot his penis off. That's the kind of idiots we're talking about. Guy who shoots himself in the dick because he wants to look cool and be a hipster by carrying his gun without a holster. You see, he just wants to tuck it away in his pants.
The idiot is the one who has open, you know, guns out in the open and has a kid who's crazy and has mental issues and just allows them to walk in school and says, oh, well, guess what? You don't like me, pal. That's a real issue, and that's not every. I mean, obviously, it's an issue with. Not all guns are bad. Obviously, I told you I've been
No.
robbed 4 times, and if I had a gun, that might serve some protection. So,
Derek, what I'm going to say is going to be completely opposite of what you think I'm going to say. The guns, I'm all in favor of if we march them to Washington and point them at Congress and tell them to leave. You don't understand where I'm coming from. The corruption runs so deep within our established government that it is not a Republican Democrat thing anymore. It's just an accepted reality that these people will just take from anybody. And it doesn't matter who they're taking from and how badly they break the law. And
hey, by the way, Beyonce's Mega Man, I'm just saying there's issues on both sides. I know you're on one side and you're hating on me. Listen, I'm not denying there's issues on both sides.
I don't hate. I'm not hating on anyone. What I'm saying is,
it's Beyonce's Mega Man. Yeah, he's over here calling me a fat idiot. I'm just saying there's both sides.
You know something? My feeling about this is simple, and that's that the Kraft story is a legitimate story. The guy who wears the USA lapel and is Mr. Conservative as far as his presence. He's the established regal owner of the Patriots. How is it possible that his Bentley that was chauffeured could pull up to a whorehouse and he could get blown in this place by paying a couple $100?
Too.
I mean, how could somebody be so stupid? And the answer is when the president of the United States is stupid enough to take photo ops with the owner of the spas, that I would say that we're living in a pretty stupid place right now. And it cuts both ways. We got people who are in Congress who don't even know the law of the land. Quite honestly, we got wet behind the ears people. We got Democrats who want to take away rights of people. Believe me, I'm a free speech enthusiast. That's what this program is all about. And they're going to try to take that away from me. I can't even joke with Roxanne about her ethnicity. And she knows God only knows I'm kidding. But there are Democrats who will take that right away from me. I was a stand-up comedian. I was a stand-up comedian. A lot of my material would be like that. And they would, I wouldn't be able to make a living. Not that I could then. I sucked. But the fact of the matter is still I couldn't deliver that material in any public place today where Democrats were standing around because it's considered inappropriate. And I fall right dead square in the middle of this. I'm just kind of in favor of decency, just decency. And I want laws upheld. And it can't be legal to enslave people and force them to commit sex acts on people and cash the money in. And part of the money goes to pay off politicians. It can't be the law of the land. It can't be. That's all.
But do you care if I say one more quick thing?
One more quick thing.
All right. One thing that just because it's so recent, the hate thing or hate bill or whatever. Yes, obviously I agree with that. You shouldn't be hateful. But my thing is if we're going to say this thing is an anti-hate, right? The idea is against anti-hate. And you're going to list, gay people, minorities. And yes, obviously you shouldn't hate against them. I'm totally against that. But I'm saying, then why isn't there something in there saying, oh, well, you can't hate against Jehovah's Witnesses or something like that? And I'm not saying I'm a Jehovah's Witness by any means. I'm just saying if we're going to say anti-hate and we're going to be a not hateful society.
Best impact, you're right. Let's move on to football. Because he's right. Best impact is right. I got carried away. But, we
all did.
Yeah, but I mean, the bottom line is I just couldn't stand the photo op of this whole thing. I just, it was disturbing to say the least. Back into the real world of sports. Let me find my place again. One thing I wanted to point out, now the LA Lakers are saying that they're going to restrict LeBron James minutes down to 32 minutes a game.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they're out of it. 30 and 35, it's over. It's going to be the first time since, what was it, the 04 season?
05 season, yeah.
Yeah, that LeBron's not going to be in the playoffs. Life goes on without him. Because he ain't got nobody. The chants have started in L.A. Return to Cleveland.
Do you think he regrets that decision at all?
No, but I think, he's being forced to come back home.
In other words,
a whole new Nike campaign.
I think the way LeBron sees it is he's like, well, I got Space Jam 2. This is to expand my brand. And then if all else fails, I can always
it's a brand
left in Cleveland, and that'll be my farewell tour. So I think he looks at it longevity the next 5 years. Like, well, this is just a current road stop. We're not really in a force to win a championship right now. We got plenty of time. Magic Johnson's going to give me plenty of time, and Magic Johnson's going to be making all the moves.
What has created this backlash, by the way, is that LeBron surpassed Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list, and it only took about 118 more games, and so you got the Skip Baylesses and that whole group of people, the Colin Cowards, and all the haters coming out. And then you've got ESPN all over the fact that the Lakers are looking to diminish his minutes now to preserve him because they signed him to a 4-year deal and they don't want anything more to happen to him now that they're out of the running. So there is
kind of got a little upset with him, don't you think? Because of the whole trading for AD thing. He said, "Yeah, I don't care about these young guys. Let them go."
Well, the motives behind LeBron's departure from Cleveland and arrival in Los Angeles are going to be questioned now. Even though his numbers were as good as they were with Cleveland, he's certainly not surrounded by Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Let's be honest about that. And you can only do so much. And it's like, the further away we get from, it's kind of like when Kawhi Leonard fell out with the San Antonio Spurs, you knew that it was Armageddon, because when somebody goes against the Spurs system and Pop, it's like he's going to be happier in Toronto. Okay. It's getting harder and harder to get players to agree to be part of a system. If you take a look at the all-time scorers, it doesn't make any difference. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar ended up playing until he was 97 years old in the league. And, the fact is he played, all the way up to 40 years of age. And that's the way he managed, or more than 40, to become the number one scorer of all time. You look at the people, the mailman, he delivered the mail because literally 75 to 80% of all points scored were done on pick and roll with Stockton, who was the premier assist man in the league at the time. Nobody does this by themselves. Scoring points is one measure of greatness. And so there are people who are part of this Michael Jordan posse who, if anything comes up there, he is bypassed. They're going to sit there and say, well, look how LeBron screwed up the Lakers. And I don't remember Michael Jordan making the Wizards a better team when he left Chicago and came back into the game. The fact of the matter is LeBron has already accomplished what LeBron wanted to accomplish. And I think from a basketball perspective, that might be the most damning thing in LeBron's case, is that he gave up by playing all 82 games for the Cavaliers last year. He probably gave his last ounce of energy and strength in his career to be able to try to repeat the feat, which wasn't going to happen in Cleveland. But he gave it his all. And, no matter what you think of him personally and how he maybe points fingers at his teammates, which he does, how he pouts, which he does, you put it in perspective. And nobody was going to save that Lakers team. This Lakers team for 5 years hasn't made the playoffs, and it's this group of players and the front office. Magic Johnson is responsible. You can point your finger at LeBron James, but if Magic Johnson is bold enough to take on HIV the way he has, he should be strong enough to take on the responsibility of the JaVale McGee's and the people in years past, including the Luol Dengs and the Timofey Mozgovs and all of the people that the Lakers have wasted money on through the years. Maybe LeBron will be re-energized when the Lakers get some real players on the roster to help him out. The truth is LeBron couldn't win in Cleveland his first go-around when he had nothing around him. When he got Wade and Bosh around him, he won. When he came back to Cleveland, he got Kyrie and Kevin Love around him, and he won. But no man is an island in the NBA. and Jordan doesn't win without Pippen, and this is the reality of the league. And I think that it's I'm actually happy that the Lakers didn't make it, because I think their owner is a bozo. I think that they have problems in management, and I think that those problems are exacerbated now, and now they have to make some kind of deal with somebody to pick up. The league's going to have to pick up that franchise, but it's not going to be Magic Johnson who does it, and it's not going to be LeBron James. It's going to be the league that facilitates and allows players to get there that will help LeBron James again. Because I guarantee you there will be one more farewell LeBron run at a championship, because that's the way life goes. If they're going to give him a chance for a fifth, but never a sixth, because that's Jordan's territory, right? So this is all predetermined. It's pre-scripted in that regard. I'm not saying LeBron will win the fifth one, but I will say this: he's going to be in a fifth one, because there's going to be the big story will be can the old LeBron pull it off?
I think LeBron maybe win one, and that's depending on what Magic does in the offseason. If he brings in like 2 stars over there, then maybe you can make the argument he possibly might have one run left in him. But I think that's about it.
Right now, you can see that the Ravens. We're talking about the Ravens, and
Eric Weddle signed with the Rams.
Weddle is now a Ram. Yeah. That's right. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to build for the future at this point. So this is our time, Cleveland. This is our time.
Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Do you think Ndamukong Suh's open for us?
I don't know. Ndamukong Suh is long in the tooth, and he's, I suppose at a price, but I mean not at a big price. The Browns have freed up a little bit of money here in the short term to help themselves out. There is going to be free agent acquisition. I have a feeling it's going to be the wide receiver, because they're not going to pay Brashad Perryman. They're going to pay I would rather pay a guy who's caught 69 passes for over 1,000 yards and prove that he can do it than a guy who's never proven he could do a damn thing except in 8 games. And it's not like Brashad Perryman was catching balls at an 1,000-yard pace for the Cleveland Browns. All right, you're looking at value.
So, Mr. Mouet,
yep.
When you mentioned the trade for Zeitler and all that, you said it kind of changes things around. Are you expecting the Browns to go interior lineman, offensive lineman, or you still think they should go defense?
I think they should go defense. I think that they need, the thing about having a quarterback is that Baker Mayfield made, and it's like people who are against this trade, and I've been reading a lot online, and, you're going to get, the Hiram Boyds and the people who, whatever the opposite of the truth is, they will support. But Zeitler was on the line when Tyrod Taylor and when RG3 the year before was getting blasted. When our offensive line was a sieve. I mean, literally anything could get through that line. And nobody was telling us how great Zeitler was. When the line suddenly got secure and better is when a quarterback who actually had vision, who could feel pressure, when he starts playing and gets out of the pocket and buys time for himself, all of a sudden things change. I'm sitting there watching 2 years ago, the game we got blown out by the Chargers, 38-14, and I'm watching RG3, and how anyone could have thought this guy was an NFL quarterback at any time, I have no idea. He could run like the wind, and is a lot like the guy now who's in Baltimore. Can run like the wind.
Lamar Jackson.
If you can't stand in the pocket and view downfield and keep your head up, you ain't going to make it. You're not going to make it. And your legs aren't going to hold up long enough for you to forge your career as a running back from the quarterback position.
That's my worry with Kyler. It's not that he can't make those plays. It's just, like you said, with the running back quarterback thing, I'm worried he's going to take a big hit.
Nobody in history. Now, Fran Tarkenton was a scrambler, but behind the line of scrimmage, to buy himself time. Fran Tarkenton was not running from scrimmage in set plays and running quarterback draws, okay? No quarterback in the history of the NFL has been able to play that position that way and stay healthy. No one. If you want to believe Lamar Jackson's going to be the first, more power to you. But what I'm saying is the offensive line of the Cleveland Browns graded up, partly because we simplified the playbook, and second of all, because we had a quarterback who felt pressure and knew where his receivers were on the field. And quarterbacks do create sacks. I've seen enough bad ones in Cleveland that I can say without question, bad quarterbacks hold on to the ball too long, they step in the wrong direction, and they can actually create sacks. I've seen it. So,
when it's not just in Cleveland either.
No,
it's just proven.
Yeah, you look at the quarterbacks who are the most sacked quarterbacks, then you can blame their offensive line, and maybe the offensive line can't hold blocks as long because the quarterback is holding onto the ball too damn long.
Preach.
So there's a lot of things that cause sacks in the NFL. But to me, I would rather have Baker with capable, fast wide receivers, even if we don't have a breakout guy. All right. If we don't come out of the draft with a DK Metcalf or something like that, we don't even know if he's going to be a breakout receiver, but he's the top guy now that they're talking about in the draft. Or if you don't get somebody in free agency who is, the Antonio Brown guy or whatever in a trade, if you don't pick up a name brand guy, I don't care. If you have guys who are fast, who can get open, who can catch the football, Baker will find them. But defense, you can't just find defense. And when you sit there and you watch a Super Bowl and you say, boy, that was a boring Super Bowl, there wasn't nearly enough offense. Is it possible? Because you had Bill Belichick, who really is a very good defensive mind, right? And I would never bet against him in a one-game season because his history is to create confusing defensive schemes to shut teams down. You start looking at the teams, and the playoffs were not 45-44 games. These teams had defense. We need it. I want us to draft defense and become prolific in rushing the passer and stopping the run. And I want the ball back in Baker's hands as many times in a game as we can give it to him. That's what I want. So, no great confusion there.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Before you close out, who do you think is great between the Browns and the Giants, or do you see it being a stalemate?
In the trade, I think, the Giants obviously wanted to get rid of this contract, and they analyzed that they weren't happy with Vernon as far as it's not so much the overall play and the statistics or the ranking of how he did his job, but there weren't big plays, and they wanted something that was a more big play oriented thing. They wanted more behind the line of scrimmage activity, strips, things that would indicate that he was overpowering his man, and he didn't give them that.
And they needed a line desperately.
Yeah. I see you're a little weary now about the whole Oliver Vernon deal, but do you think under Mr. Wilk's system, do you see maybe him a resurgence, or what do you see?
Again, what I see is the reasons to think there could be a resurgence for him is because he's got Myles Garrett on the other side of the field, and he didn't, and when you lose somebody like JPP as being a real focus of an offensive line, and that's suddenly taken away from you, and now what you've got is in front of you, and you're going to be double teamed. It's not so good. There is not going to be a way to double team these people. I mean, when you have multiple pass rushers, that's why I want Devin White. I want another guy who runs a 4-4 coming and screaming into the backfield. I want the offensive lines of the league to be overtaxed and overburdened against the Cleveland Browns, so we can get the ball into the hands of our air raid offense. That's the whole point of this. The more the offense gets the ball, the more points we score. The Cleveland Browns are going to be a team that puts a lot of points on the board. A lot like Sam Bertigliano in the day when he believed in a vertical football game. We're going to be a verticalized team, and we're going to put up points. And if we can make big plays defensively, which we're not doing, and we haven't done for years.
Yeah.
If we start making negatives against them, forcing teams into 3rd and longs, 2nd and longs, we're going to make plays. That's the way it works. I'm even with the trade. I mean, it's not that I'm saying one side got the better of it. I'm just saying that right now the New York Giants have more needs than we do. They need a quarterback. Yeah. They're behind us in the sweepstakes because we found our guy.
Are you still on the Devin White sweepstakes, or do you think the Browns will go somewhere else?
No, I don't. I think Devin White is going to be in the top 10. I think that in order to have a chance at him, you have to move from 17 to 8 because they're a likely landing spot at 9. Detroit is a likely landing spot. Cincinnati is expressing interest because, the fact that Vontae's perfect is bye-bye. They have to get a linebacker in there. There's a lot of reasons to believe that, you're going to have to jump above 9 to get Devin White. And I don't know how you do that because you're going to have to sacrifice picks. You're going to have to.
The only way I could see that is teams jumping up for quarterbacks, which I see doubtful.
Yeah, there just isn't. There aren't the bodies on the board for that.
Or do you think the Browns should just trade down then, or just keep 17?
Well, I think that they need probably to keep 17, but again, what are you looking at? I mean, this is tough because you do have Kirksey coming back. You have to replace Collins, and Avery is a situation player. I don't believe he's not fast enough to put on the outside, and you're going to a 4-3. So, Schobert is athletic and plays a good Mike position because he's athletic. Avery is more of a guy who's a situational pass rushing linebacker and not so much of a guy who's going to help you that much in coverage. He's a little stiff in coverage. You need somebody more athletic. And Devin White's the best linebacker available. There are other linebackers available, but
assuming if you remain 17,
yep,
and White's off the board,
yep,
where do the Browns go at that point when the 17th pick drops down? Do you say offensive lineman? Do you say still go for a linebacker, just get maybe something else? I mean,
there's no way that an offensive lineman is going to go at 17 because the one or two guys who are the blessed ones, and it's really only one in this draft, is going to get drafted in the top 15 without.
So who do you think the Browns draft at 17? Not name position wise. If it remains at 17,
I would say they're going to look at a cornerback, or if there is the ability to trade up from the 2nd round from 49, they may go with the cornerback in the 2nd round, and then you have the option at 17 to look at a wide receiver, depending on what you're doing free agency. So, again, I think that there will be a better wide receiver available at 17 than there will be a linebacker at 17. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way the Browns are going to look at it. They have a situation where you can look at their needs in many different ways. But if there is a ball buster receiver on the board at 17, that's how you're going to go.
Okay, so if you don't go cornerback, most likely try to find a way to trade down somehow and maybe get 2 high 2nd round.
No, what I'm saying is you take a wide receiver at 17 and then you move up from 49 and abandon the rest of your damn draft and do what you have to do to get the cornerback at the end of the 1st round. Yep.
Hey Mo, did you see what Beyonce's Mega Man sang?
No.
He said, hey, fat boy, Browns suck. Scrap Mayfield, get the new Kyler Murray. I think he's better than him. I told him he's a brain-dead idiot.
He's trolling. He's trolling.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. But, it's okay because anybody is welcome.
I think that's hilarious, though.
Anyone's welcome in the show.
Do you see Kyler Murray going top 10? Because that's what everybody's saying. I know a lot of
definitely.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Are you kidding
Really?
me?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
I think he's going number 1.
Really?
Yeah. Kingsbury is in love with him. They'll find a way to deal Rosen. It's only going to cost some team $6 billion for 3 years. They'll draft Kyler Murray in a heartbeat.
So you think?
I don't think they're.
I'm sorry.
Who's going first?
I said, you think Arizona's going to draft him?
Yeah. I think they. I think they're not going to make the decision until the day of or day before because I think they're really questionable. But like you said, with Kingsbury, he's been in love with Kyler, and I think he's gonna say, you know what, we're starting with my guys, and we're gonna do it my way. Which, oh well.
If they deal Rosen before the draft, carve it in stone. It'll be Murray on the first pick.
So why would they want to get rid of Rosen? I mean, he's just barely coming on his second year.
Because he doesn't like him. It's Kingsbury. He said way back in college, he said, yeah, if I had the #1 pick, I'm taking Kyler Murray.
Oh,
and guess what? Now he's got the #1 pick.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of,
and the thing with Rosen is that Rosen is the Trevor Bauer of professional football, and he's going to rub people the wrong way. And people he didn't have a great first year in Arizona. And, again, if you can get something big for him, then you move him. It's not that he's a good thrower, but he is in the head. There's a disconnect. He's not real tight with his teammates. I wanted to get out of here now, but I wanted to say the VIP of the program was Best Impact for getting us back on course. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, you are the true MVP.
Yeah.
I apologize for getting heated. If I was disrespectful, don't take it personally.
Actually, the ultimate VIP was Robert Kraft because he got a blowjob in a spot. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning. I'm sorry. I had to get the last word in, didn't I? God, I suck. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Remember, everything you hear in this program is speculation. We don't have any inside information on who the Cleveland Browns are going to draft. Nobody does. And even at this point, Dorsey doesn't even know for sure. Because once the cards are all on the table, free agency decisions are made, these trades are made, then we're going to see exactly where.
When is the draft day? When is draft day? April what?
Boy, I don't even know.
It's 25th. It's either 24th or 25th. It's on a Thursday.
Take forever.
I'll be in Canada.
It takes forever to get here. Believe me, there's going to be 87 mock drafts by the time we get there. It's crazy.
And then after show yours, Mr. Moohead, we're going to be discussing, well, who would you take now? Seeing as it's 8 days ago since our last conversation.
You know what it's like? It's just like those chess books that have samples of matches and saying, okay, so if your opponent does this, now what are you going to do? And so you get to analyze 13 different moves that you could make. That's where we're at, because the tide shifts and the current shifts. Whenever these trades are made, there are people who come off the board in free agency that the Browns can't go for. Or in the case of today, we needed an edge rusher. We were talking about, we're going to draft one. And now all of a sudden we're paying good, big money to a guy to do that job. So no, we're not drafting an edge rusher. So the current changes. And so, we all kind of have
the right guy in charge too. If there's anybody you want to put your bucks on to get the right one, it's Dorsey.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday to see what happens next in this great drama called the NFL. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Moo.
Moo.